Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? You know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage. Today I'm using my Stay Positive cup that I got from down here. Isn't it cute? Oh, just a great way, just a great reminder. But grab your beverage. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm so glad that you're joining me. Every morning, Monday through Friday, I pop on in the morning at some point and just chat with you. See how you're doing, share a little bit of what's going on here, and some of the trials, tribulations, the highs, the lows, and the strategies and tools that I use to get through them in the hopes that it'll help you maybe navigate life a little bit easier. So, anyway, I was thinking this morning, so grab your beverage. I don't care what it is. It can be water. It can be lemon water. It can be apple cider vinegar, kombucha. It can be wine. It can be a hot toddy. It can be margarita. 5 o'clock somewhere, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. You can do whatever you want. No judgment here. Grab a beverage and pull a chair up and let's have a chat. So this weekend I went out with some friends from college, and it was very interesting because we're all approaching the age of retirement eventually at some point, right? And there are some of us that are having a little bit of a hard time with that. And we were having the conversation about we've done it for so long. And it very interesting that there are other people besides me that tie my self-worth to my productivity, how much I get done in a day, what I'm doing. And so when I'm not doing anything, not having a project to work on, I feel like I don't contribute. I feel like I'm kind of worthless. And it's uncomfortable. I don't know how to be like that for too long. Like I can do that on vacation, but that's a short period of time. And so we were talking about that. And one of my friends, he was saying, you're right. Because I told him this trip down to Florida, I am working on learning how to downshift. Wrapping my head around things and unlearning things to help me eventually retire at some point and do it a little bit smoother. When you come on, please say hello. Let me know that you're there. I see somebody's there, and hopefully I can see your comments. Sometimes Facebook is kind and lets me see your comments, and sometimes it's not. So know that I can see that somebody is there, but I don't see any comments. And if you're commenting and I don't respond, it's not because I'm ignoring you, but because I can't see them. And I will definitely, I hope that I can see them. So send me a comment and let me see if I can see it. But I was sharing with my friends that my trip down here is giving me the opportunity to learn how to downshift. And my friend said, you're right. It is a learned skill. We have learned to be busy. We have learned to fill our day with work. And now we can also learn how to fill our day in a different way. But it's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar for me. And it was very unfamiliar and uncomfortable for them as well. And, they enjoy it. We all enjoy what we're doing. So it's also a little bit challenging. I guess if you hated what you were doing, it wouldn't be so hard, right? But actually liking what you're doing and not doing it for as many hours or not doing it at all is uncomfortable. And so I'm curious. Anybody else out there like that? You might not be at the point of retirement, and maybe your life is so crazy. Like I remember when I was running with my girls and I was like, oh, I live for the day that I don't have to do this anymore and I can just relax. right? Just take a day to relax. But when you have multiple days of relaxing and not doing stuff, hey, Anne, I can see you. It's so good to see you. Thanks so much for joining me. Grab your beverage. And I'm chatting about how to downshift, how to relax, how to not tie my self-worth to my productivity. It's something that I'm working through, and I'm getting a lot of opportunity to do that. Do that down here. I've realized that I've just exchanged what I'm filling my day with. So let me explain. Up at home, I'm doing public speaking. I am, getting opportunities to speak at events. I am planning the women's empowerment experience. And so there's lots of phone calls, there's lots of meetings, there's lots of outreach, there's networking. There's a lot to be done for all of that, right? There's follow-up calls and, searching vendors and venues and all of it. And down here, I intentionally take a break from that. And I was doing really well. And then my husband decided that we were going to buy a second home. And all of a sudden, my reading every day and having my coffee turned into scouring the internet, learning about locations, determining what I wanted, what the house looked like, how big of a house, what the neighborhood looked like, where it was located, all the different, ages and the different amenities. And I realized this morning that I've just replaced the work that I love with this project that I'm doing, because it's all encompassing. I barely have time to read my book. As a matter of fact, I haven't read my book in well over a week, because when we're not looking at houses, we're looking on the internet at the listings of houses and going through, or we're researching neighborhoods, or, what's the distance between this and the airport, and, all that research. And so I realized this morning that I've just replaced quote unquote work with work of a different kind. It hasn't allowed me to really take a deep breath, have less going on in a day, less on my to-do list. Less going on up here, allowing this to downshift and not be thinking of 100 things. And I'm so glad that I get the opportunity to start my days calmly with you and a cup of joe or a glass of water. But realizing that that's exactly what I've done. I've taken my intentional time down here learning how to read a book, sit still long enough to read a book, and tour and get together with friends, and have inserted yet another project. And I wonder if that's how it's always going to be. There's always going to be something. Do you think that? Do you think that there's always going to be something going on? Something to focus my attention on? Is it always going to be like that? And if it's not like that, will I be bored? Will I feel like I don't? Because I will tell you this, when I retired the other 2 times, I felt like I had nothing to talk to people about, right? If I didn't have a project, like at least now, down here, I would be able to talk about house hunting and the craziness that I'm seeing, or the mind-blowing amounts of money that they think the houses are worth, that I don't see it. I find one house, it's the exact same house the exact same updating, the exact same year, and it's $100,000 difference. $100,000, same square footage. It's not like falling down. It's got like a new roof, new paint, totally and completely remodeled on the inside, and it's $100,000 less. Like what? What? And it's in the same. It's not necessarily the same community, but it's the same general location. It's not like one is on the beach on the water. So, it's mind-blowing. It's totally and completely mind-blowing. And now I feel like if I were to go out to dinner with you or have my coffee chat with you, I would have this to talk to you about, right? Which just replaces when I'm working and doing a speaking engagement, or I am doing and working on the women's empowerment experience and all the excitement and activities and exercises we're going to be doing there. And so can I? How do I? When will I be able to downshift? And this was a huge conversation at brunch. And my friend Steve was like, I feel like I'm making progress, but I'm just not there yet. And I understand that too, right? I understand baby steps. My husband John retires in 4 years. And I said, okay, I've got 4 years of practicing. Let's take baby steps. So I'm starting now, taking my baby steps. And my friend Steve was too. He doesn't go into the office every day. He works from home primarily, so that in the middle of the day, he can go for a walk, which he wasn't doing. He can actually be home for dinner. He actually has taken over the grocery shopping because he has more time in his day to do that. And so those are baby steps that he's still working. He's still working and working a lot, but he's working from home, which allows him to be home for dinner instead of, commuting and working longer hours. He's working shorter hours, normal hours. He's not working weekends. Well, he was working this weekend, but normally he's not working weekends. And so I said, well, pat yourself on the back, because that is a baby step in the right direction. And we have probably, 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer if you want to go longer, to implement baby steps. So it's funny, as I'm going through life and life transitions and life, different periods of life, right? There's the transition of when I was single and I went to a couple and got married. It was a huge transition for me because I had to learn to incorporate someone in my everyday life. Not just, hey, I'll see you on the weekends. Hey, we'll spend the weekend together. But like my every waking moment, like showering and cooking and cleaning and everything together. And that was an adjustment. And when I had a baby, holy cow, how do I incorporate and divide my time between my husband and now my child, and not forget me, which I did forget me in the process. There was just not enough time in the day for me, right? And get adjusted to that. And the no sleep, right? The no sleep when they're babies and you're up and you're feeding them every 3 hours. Kind of like a puppy too. I remember when I did that with my puppy. So there were years of that, right? Because right as one would sleep through the night, I got pregnant and had another. And so that was a period of my life that required a transition to get adjusted, a change. And it was bumpy as all hell. And I was cranky. I remember being cranky with no sleep. And my body and my hormones and all of it, right? It's a little bit harder to remember because, my girls are 30. My girl, Morgan's, I shouldn't tell her age, but my girls are up there. And so it's been a long time since I was in that phase of life. That's the word I was looking for, phase of life. And but I do remember it being bumpy and rocky, and I had just gotten accustomed to being a couple, and now I'm working on becoming a family. And then as I become accustomed to a family, then it was all the activities and school and projects and volunteering and not road trips, what do they call the school trips, field trips, and making sure that they're well-rounded. And it's a lot it's a lot, right? But it's not like you're married and then you're running with children. You're pregnant for 9 months, and then they come out and they sleep a lot, and you get adjusted to that, and they're baby steps, kind of like when they learn how to walk, right? When they come out, they're not running. They can't even roll over. They have to learn to roll over, and then they have to learn to have control over their heads. Little steps before they're running around and you're chasing them. And sometimes I forget that. Sometimes I forget that different phases of life and the different transitions in my life require baby steps and compassion and grace with myself. Because I'm like, damn, I should want this. And I do want this. But adjusting to the change and the transition and the new phase is bumpy for me. For those that are going through a transition, whether it's having a baby or, getting the toddler years or the school age years, or getting ready for college and the empty nest years, or getting closer to retirement, are you finding the transition, the phase of life that you're in, the changes that are going on with you, challenging, or are they smooth? Let me know in a comment below. Are they challenging or are they smooth? Are you embracing them or are you fighting it? Are you working on holding on to the way things always were, or are you letting them go and welcoming a new way? I will tell you, for me, change is not always easy. I will even venture to say it's downright hard. As hard as those years were when the kids were growing up and I was running like a crazy lunatic, and all the millions of holiday presents that I don't need to buy anymore because the kids are grown, and as adults I don't exchange gifts with my siblings, and that has relieved a lot of stress, a lot of burden, a lot of time, a lot of thought. It just gets replaced by something else, right? And it takes me time to adjust. Now, adjusting to not having to buy gifts, that was an easy thing. That was a relief. That was a hallelujah. It was a lot. Trying to really buy the right gift for the right person, something they would love, that fit into the budget, that expressed how much I cared about them and wanted them to enjoy it. It was a lot for me. And when I no longer had to do that, the expectation wasn't there, and we made the conscious decision to no longer do that, for siblings and for nieces and nephews and stuff like that, it was a relief. That did not take a whole lot of adjustment. But there's a part of me that misses those times when we would all get together in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of working to get all the food to come out at the same time at Thanksgiving, and not burning anything and not having something undercooked, and making sure everybody was happy and had food that they liked and accommodations they were comfortable with. As much stress as I felt, there's a part of me that actually misses that, because life is different now. My kids are starting their own traditions, and the times of get together with my siblings and my husband's siblings aren't as they used to be. And part of me is actually sad about that. And I allow myself to be sad. Do you allow yourself to be sad? I allow myself to be sad. I can grieve for the time that I enjoyed that I don't have anymore. I can relish in those memories, sit in those memories, and enjoy those memories of spending the time with the people that I care about, some of which are not here anymore, which, kind of brings me to tears sometimes. And yet, I'm working on embracing creating new traditions and being okay with that. They're not like they were, and they're not going to be like they were. And this next phase of life isn't going to be like it was before. But why does it have to be worse? Why can't it be better? Why can it be less stressful, more fun, less stress? Why can't it be better? Why in my head does it have to be worse? Why does it have to be sad? Why can't it be full of excitement and newness? There's a lot of excitement in doing new things. It doesn't need to be dreaded. So, yeah, that's something that I was thinking about this morning, about the various life transitions and phases, and how I'm approaching yet another phase. Just as I get through, it's taken me, good golly, over a decade to finally feel comfortable with empty nest. Finally. If you're going through empty nest and you're having a hard time, my heart goes out to you. I feel the feelings. I still understand. I remember it well. Missing them. I still miss my girls. I miss them so much, so very much, that sometimes it brings me to tears. Not having them in the everyday life. I know that is a choice I can make, but I don't want to be feel like they need to have me in their everyday life. I'm grateful for the amount that I am in their lives. I do talk to them very frequently. I do visit them very frequently. But it's not every waking moment. And getting comfortable with that has taken me a long time. And just as I get comfortable, guess what happens? Now I'm getting used to empty nest, and menopause is finally, coming, settling into a rhythm, and my body is adjusting finally after almost 10 years. And now I get to, notice the words I chose, I get to experience a new phase of life. And part of me is struggling with that. I'm being honest. Part of me is really struggling with that. Whether it's not so much struggling with the I'm getting older part, because I don't feel like that. I don't feel like I'm at a point of retirement, right? I don't even feel 30 most days. So it's not the older part. It's it's just I'm learning new ways to be, learning new ways to live, learning new ways to be, and the hardest part is figuring out what I want. What do I want? Right? It is still, that is the biggest question. Amy, what do you want? What do you want retirement to look like? I don't friggin' know. I don't know. And spending time figuring it out is uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. I'd rather somebody tell me what it's supposed to be like. Where am I supposed to live? Where? Yeah. so many decisions. Once I know what I want it to be like, then I can put a plan in place and, work towards something. But I don't even know what I want it to look like. There's a part of me that wants to do a lot of traveling, and there's a part of me that wants to be with my kids a lot. There's a part of me that wants to be involved in passion projects like the Women's Empowerment Experience and empowering people through my talks. And there's a part of me that wants the time to just sit and be and read a book. Even when I read a book, a lot of times right now, it's challenging for me to shut off my brain enough to just focus on the book that I'm reading. I'll read a paragraph, I'll read a page, I'll read a chapter. I will have no idea what I just read. Anybody else do that? Do you do that? And so it's kind of frustrating, that I'll be reading and then all of a sudden I'll have an idea and I'll have to get on my phone and put the idea in before I forget it, because I forget it as quickly as I see it or think of it. And then I go down that rabbit hole and then I refocus and I go back to reading and then I think of another thing, or, oh, don't forget to talk to so-and-so, or don't forget to call so-and-so. And I'll put my book down and I'll put in here, after you're done reading for the 20 minutes or whatever you've allocated, call so-and-so for their birthday, or reach out, remember to email so-and-so, or don't forget to pay that bill, or, remember to write that post, or, whatever it is, find something fun to do with a friend. Yes, I have to actually find something fun to do with a friend on my calendar. How pitiful. But I do. And that's how hey, Jan, thanks so much for joining me. Cheers. Do you have to do that? Do you have to put everything on a calendar and allocate time for it so that you don't forget? Good golly, Miss Molly. But I'm doing it. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's unfamiliar, even though it's something new for me to sit and read a book for 20 minutes. Even though my mind is interrupting me, I still put my butt in a chair, open my book, and when it interrupts me, I write it down and I come back. Kind of like with meditation. When you meditate and a thought comes in, you're like, yep, I'll get to it when I'm done, and you focus the attention. I focus my attention back on the meditation. I'm doing the same thing with this. How are you, Jan? What are you drinking today? What kind of beverage are you drinking? Shoot me a picture. I can actually see. Cheryl, hey, my friend. Good morning. Do you love my mug or what? Stay positive for our babies. Yeah, I have to put that down. But baby steps. At least I'm sitting in a chair. At least I'm opening a book. At least I'm reading for 20 minutes. Or sometimes it's only 10. Right? Sometimes it's only 10. Sometimes it's only one page. That's still okay. That's progress. And I give myself credit. I don't beat myself up. I don't be like, oh, you spent more time writing down your ideas and your thoughts and your don't forgets than you did reading. I still read a paragraph. I still read a page. And even that baby step, I give myself credit for. Because then I don't fight, because I used to beat myself up. Like, you're such a schmo butt. Like, really? You can't even sit for 20 minutes? How sad are you, right? Why is it that you can't shut your brain off and focus on reading a story that you like and is entertaining? It's not like it's boring or that it's a textbook. It's an actual entertaining story that you enjoy, and you can't even focus your attention on that without having it drift a million different times. I don't do that anymore. Instead, I laugh. I write down my thought, and that allows me to redirect my thoughts and my attention back to what I was doing. Cheryl, Oh, love your cup. Remember, I have a sign that says that by the, yes, I do. It made me think of you, my friend. You're having your mushroom coffee too. Oh my gosh. We are so kindred spirits. We are so kindred spirits. Mushroom coffee. In his love never fails cup. Oh, I love that. I love that. And you're at a different place than me as well, Cheryl. Oh, that was Jan that said his love never fails cup. Oh, that's awesome. So if you have pointers, if you have suggestions, if you have ideas or what worked for you, and again, I know that you might not have had a company or worked outside the home, but raising children is work. It is a job. It is the hardest job I have ever had, one that you don't ever get a break from. You don't get to quit. You kind of get a vacation every so often as they get older. When they leave the house, you kind of get a vacation from. But it is also a transition. And so if you have pointers on how you used your transition, and you travel quite a bit, my hope is that I get to travel, that I do know that from talking with a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people because I'm very curious to see what their life looks like in this phase. And it helps me to craft what I want my life to look like, right? Like, ooh, yeah, watching Jeopardy every night. Yeah, I don't, no offense. This is not a judgment. First of all, I don't love the show Jeopardy. I'd rather watch Wheel of Fortune. But watching a show is totally and completely fine. John and I, binge watch. What are we watching? Oh my God, what is it called? There was not The Night Guard. There was another one that The Agent, I think it was called. We binge watched that. We also are in the midst of watching The Good Wife. So I'm not against watching shows. And nowadays it's so nice that they're, recorded or can be streamed, and you can do it. You're not going to miss it or have to, this is really showing my age. You're not going to need to hit the video recorder to make sure that it records it so you can come back and watch it at a later time. Do you remember doing that? When we couldn't even program it, we had to hit record or try and program the VCR. Yeah, nobody has VCRs anymore. They don't even have DVDs, most people, because everything is streamed. How far we've come. But so I'm not against watching TV, but I don't want that to become my routine every single day without a break. I did talk to somebody that traveled a lot. They actually go to see their son and grandchildren in Denver every other month. Every other month for a week. It's like, ooh, that's a neat idea that I could go every 6 or 8 weeks and spend a week with my daughter and her children so that they know who I am because I don't live close. I was like, ooh, I actually like that. Okay, that's something that I can incorporate. So asking people what they do is not to sit in judgment, but in curious. It's interesting. I asked my mom what she does, and unfortunately, she took it as judgment. And I think that's because maybe there's some, that's how do I say that? That's a her thing, not a me thing. Feeling, I don't want to say guilty, but feeling that you have to not validate. What's the word I'm looking for? You have to, I can't think of what that word is. I guess I'm going to use the word validate, but that's not the right word. Validate and argue on how you do your day. And it wasn't to sit in judgment. It was seriously, I have a friend that didn't work outside the house. And, she's like, I get up, I have my coffee, I read my newspaper, I go to yoga, I come home, she took me through like an average day. And I could say, okay, I could see me doing this, but not that. Like, I'm not going to sit and read a newspaper. That's just not me. And that's not to say that that's a good thing or a bad thing, and you can judge me for that all you want. But I can at least know how other people do their day so that I can say, ooh, that would work for me, or ooh, no, that doesn't. And ooh, that's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. And that helps me feel better because it allows me a solution to start to implement, and in order to see, like for example, the woman who sees her son and her grandkids in Denver every other month, right? I think, oh, that's a really great idea. And I start to implement that, and then I realize, yeah, that doesn't really work for me, right? But at least it gives me something to implement and see. And I don't, you know me, I don't know what I don't know. And so asking people what they do, I do realize through many people I've talked to that movement is a huge benefit, whether that is pickleball or Pilates, whether that is yoga or walking, whether that moving your body every day seems to be a consistent necessity through the people's lives that are vibrant and mobile and alert, both physically and mentally. And so I'm like, okay, I need to find an activity. It could be dance. I need to find an activity that I can do on a regular basis. Maybe it's multiple activities. There was a woman, when I was playing pickleball up in Virginia, there was a woman who played pickleball and golfed. I know someone else that plays tennis. It doesn't really matter what it is. You can play volleyball. It doesn't really matter what it is. It just requires some activity. So I'm like, okay, can explore various activities. And the activity that I choose, I might not want, need, or desire to do it forever. I could do it for a month. I could do it for 2 years and then decide I want to do a different activity. One that I might not even have known about. Maybe rowing. I don't know. I have no idea. And so finding something to move my body on a regular basis, maybe daily, maybe every other day, is going to be important. Doing something with community. They have done a lot of studies on longevity and found that the people who live the longest, happiest, healthiest lives have community. And that is one of the reasons why John and I are looking at 55 and older communities, is because it allows us to socialize with people who are at the same phase of life, so that there is, if you listen to, I think Mel Robbins is the one that talked about friendship takes like 70 or 90, like 70 hours to make an acquaintance and over 90 hours to make a friend or something like that. And it takes proximity. It takes a similar point in life. It's like a couple of different things to actually form a friendship. So knowing this, moving into a community where people are at the same phase of life. I mean, think about it. When if you went to, when you were in school, whether that's elementary, high school, college, doesn't matter what school, all of your friends were at the same phase of life, right? They were at the same phase of life. And when you got out and you got into the workforce, your group that you hung around, which is the people that you work with, not all of them are at the same phase of life. So it becomes a little bit trickier making friends. Some are single, some are married, some are divorced, some are widowed, some are, they're at totally different phases of life. And so even though we're spending a huge amount of time with these people at work, the connection isn't there, right? And so doing a 55 and older community, we're going to see. If that works, great. If it doesn't work, we can move. We can do something different. We can join a travel club, right? If we really love to travel, then we join a empty nesters or 55 and older travel club. I'm literally ideas that are just flooding my brain on community, right? So I know that movement's going to be important. Thank you for allowing me this space to talk about this, because I drive my husband crazy because he's not, women as a whole, we work through problems by talking. At least I do. I work through problems by talking. And thank you for giving me the space to talk it out, because it allows me to have more ideas flow as I share them with you. But yeah, I definitely think in this next phase in retirement, need to have movement. Don't know what that movement looks like. Maybe I need to do movement that I can do without my husband, like pickleball, like, I have no idea. Like, back in the day, I used to do jazzercise. Anybody do jazzercise anymore? Is jazzercise still around? Yeah, exactly. Sounds like discussion is empty nesting. Yeah, a little bit empty nesting, and more like menopause. Not menopause, more retirement. Because that's the phase that I'm getting ready for. I'm not in yet, but I am getting ready for. And I feel like, for me, it's going to take me a little while. It's going to take me multiple little steps to get there. Like my friend Steve, who just the fact that he doesn't work evenings and weekends is a step in the right direction. I'm going to need little steps to eventually get there. But yeah, I know that I'm going to need movement, whether that's with my husband or by myself. I know that I'm going to need community. I'm going to need, community of people that are in a similar situation with similar interests. That would be helpful, right? Just because we're all retired doesn't mean we all like doing the same things. Maybe somebody likes playing, what are some of those card games that people play? I don't even know what Mahjong is. Is that a card game? Or Canasta? I don't play either one of those. Or Bridge. Or maybe they do bingo. Maybe I try bingo, and maybe bingo's not for me. Maybe but in some of these communities, there's so many different activities to experiment with and explore that I will hopefully find one or two. And even if it's not a forever thing, maybe it's a for now thing. Maybe it's for a decade. At least it will be something, right? I think those are two important components to help to transition to retirement. That and maybe some I would say I know that the brain activity is important. So I know John, he does the New York Times Wordle. He always tells me Wordle in 3, Wordle in 2. Doing some of those brain games. Right now, I am doing Duolingo. I've actually done over 365 days in a row of Duolingo, learning Spanish. It's slow. It's really slow because I only do like not even 5 minutes a day. But I make that commitment every day. And sometimes it's 11:30 at night and I am in the bathroom with the door closed because it's, a studio apartment, doing my Duolingo so I don't miss a day. And so maybe it's learning a language. Maybe it's scheduling so many trips. Maybe there's trips to do as couples and maybe there's trips to do with girlfriends. Maybe I do 3 trips a year or 4 trips a year or maybe, and that gives me something to not only plan, but also to look forward to new traditions. We typically do Labor Day at the lake, and this year we're not doing that. Doesn't mean that we won't reinstitute that because I really love going to the lake. But maybe there are family things that we do as a tradition, whether that is birthdays or over holidays or not over holidays in order to get better rates on places. Because, doing stuff on a lake on Labor Day is really costly because that's like the last really nice weekend. So, maybe we do something like that. And instead of like, oh, this is hard, this is difficult, this is uncomfortable, this is unfamiliar, start mapping out. I can sit down and start mapping out some of the things that I'd like to do and start exploring doing those so that I have a couple of things in place and I don't go what they call cold turkey. Like when people are smoking cigarettes and they just quit cold turkey. I think that slowly transitioning out of a life of, let's say, productivity and into a life, I don't want to say life of leisure, but a life of leisure, and doing it slowly over time and incorporating certain things to see what works and what doesn't, might be just what the doctor ordered. And my husband somehow always knows this. So kudos to my husband, John, for gently nudging and supporting and encouraging me to do things that are incredibly uncomfortable and that I don't feel ready for, whether that's financially or emotionally, which is to actually explore this second home option in a 55 and older community. So let's see, what else am I missing down here? I'm so glad I get to see comments today. So often I don't get to see them. Cheryl, it's amazing. I do whatever I want whenever I want to. I think that the hard part is not knowing what I want. If I knew what I want, then that becomes exciting. The problem is I wake up every day without knowing what I want, without having anything to do to direct my day and my time. It doesn't even matter if I want to sit and crochet, right? But I don't know that that's what I want to do anymore. And so figuring out what I want, or what I want to at least explore, I think that's when it becomes exciting. I'm going to learn how to swing dance. And let me find a place to swing dance. Let me find a group to swing dance. Then it becomes exciting. But if I wake up and I have nothing to do all day, I have no one to do it with, I have no plan, I have no activity, it is more than I can comfortably handle. Cheryl, I am constantly doing projects in and outside the house. I love organization. Yeah. And that is something that I like. I think it would be more fun to do house projects if that was the only thing I had to focus on, right? But cramming house projects in between phone calls makes it stressful. So you're right. Doing house projects, whether that's a garden or whether that's, I don't know, I'm not really a shopper. So I would rather, dare I say, I'd rather have an interior designer go out and get all the stuff and say, yes, I love that, or no, I don't love that. Have veto power, but not have to do all the shopping part, because that's not my favorite. I just have to take my life one day at a time, because as you well know, being married to a pilot makes scheduling, yes, a bit difficult, especially when you also have pets. Yes, and my life changes on a dime because of that. He was supposed to be down here for 2 months. And then he didn't get the car situated. So then he ended up leaving for 4 days or 3 days to get the car situated. So my life changed. You know, things that we had planned or wanted to do together, we're no longer doing together. And because he's not here. And now I'm looking to fill my days with friends, right? Which I don't want to take time away from us when there's so little time for us when he is here. So yes, the constant switching. He was supposed to be here. He had this meeting that he went to. He just left yesterday, and he's coming home Wednesday. And I was like, okay, well, you know, we could do this, this, and this. And then he's like, oh, well, I scheduled this. And I was like, no problem, right? Constantly having that flexibility. You know, or, oh, my plans have changed. Like he was supposed to do this checkout thing up in Ocala last month, but the plane broke and the weather wasn't good enough. So that changed. So then my plans either A, change, or B, I feel kind of because he's sitting here all by himself while I'm going out with friends. And it is what it is, you know. Hey, Dan, how the heck? Are you down in Florida, Dan? Are you down in Florida? God, it's been a hot minute. You are in Florida. Where are you in Florida? Type where you are. I'm right now in Delray. And we're looking at homes in Delray, Boynton, and possibly Lake Worth. Would love to know where you're at. Let me know in a comment below. And so that's all. I just wanted to chat with you to tell you what I'm going through and how I'm going through it. It's bumpy. And I'm just being honest. It's bumpy. And some days are good and some days are not. Some days I am excited and some days I'm stressed out. Some days I have to have a pep talk with myself to remind myself that my mindset is what's dictating that stress, and shifting it, doing all the tools and strategies and tactics that I share with you. And I appreciate you allowing me to share that with you. And I hope that if you are going through a life transition, regardless of if it's approaching retirement or maybe your transition is switching jobs. That's transition, my friend. Maybe it's empty nest. Maybe it's menopause. Maybe it's moving. Oh my gosh, moving is such a life transition. I did that about 13 years ago. And that is a huge life transition. Hey, Kimberly, how's it going? Oh, I'm so glad I'm getting to see so many people today. Yeah, moving is a huge transition. All of the things that I'm talking about may be feelings or thoughts that you might be feeling as well. And hopefully by me sharing this crazy, stressful, exciting, joyful, grateful that I am for time in my life will help shed some different perspective for you as well. And I have spoken for quite a long time, and my coffee is now, believe it or not, cold. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you for spending your Tuesday morning with me. Yeah, moving is huge. I think that is one of, what is it? There's like 8 most stressful things you can do in a lifetime, or have happen, life events, death of a loved one, or health scare, moving, transition life, like a job transition. Like, these are stressful, very stressful life changes. And a lot of you, the feelings that I'm feeling right now, you may be feeling too, because it's about change. It's about life changes. And so hopefully this has helped you. Let me know in a comment below. Let me know what you're going through. Kimberly, yes, I did a transition. Not my son wants nothing to do with me. It's so hard. It's killing me inside. Since October, I moved. It's okay for their dad, but it's not for me. Yeah. Girl, my heart goes out to you. I know that Mel Robbins talks about let them. It's really hard to let them process through their life transitions, especially when doing so means either A, seeing you less, or cutting you out altogether. And unfortunately, here's something I have learned, that as much as I want, whether it's my children or my mother, to have or want or make time for me, they only do it when they want to do it. And when they do it, when they don't, it's not time that is really well spent. And it's awkward, and it's resentful, and it's icky. And that's not what I want either. I know that's not what you want. I hope that your son realizes how amazing you are and how incredible his life could be if he allowed you to be in it in some capacity. And what I do is I just leave the door open. I continue to say, I acknowledge whatever it is, right? Acknowledge that I acknowledge that you're in a phase that you're angry with me, but just know that I'm here whenever that anger passes. And I still send birthday cards. I still send birthday messages, holiday cards. I still do the little things as if nothing is wrong, and I don't expect them to call me, because then I'm disappointed when they don't. I just constantly let them know that I love them and I care about them, and that I'm here to support and encourage them, and that I'm not here to judge them, and that whatever they're going through, that I hope that they go through it easier. And if there's anything I can do to help with that, please let me know. And just leaving the door open. It's amazing how life can circle back around. And just energetically sending them a ton of love and wrapping them in a hug. But it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be like, just envision it, and it, and it'll manifest itself. I'm not going to say that. It's shitty, and it's hard, and it hurts, and you have no control over it. You only have control over what you do, and making sure the door stays open. I'm sending you the biggest hug, my friend. I am, because that is a painful thing to go through. I know his girlfriend was jealous of me. He lives with her and 5 friends, enjoying life. Okay. Do you like the girlfriend? Do you like the girlfriend? Thank you. I did do that, then I was thinking maybe I should stop so it doesn't hurt me more. You are right. Okay, so here you go. Here is the hurt me more part. You allow it to hurt you more. I'll give you an example for this. Valentine's Day. My husband and I, over the years, have not done a whole lot for Valentine's Day. We usually just give each other a card. And this year, I'm changing, right? I never used to really like flowers. I just thought they were something that died. Why buy them? It's a waste of money. Okay? I'm changing. I now, when I'm at home, I always have some fresh, beautiful flowers on my kitchen table. Like 99% of the time. I'm changing. So I need to let him know that I'm changing, right? And so I did. And I let him know some of the things that would be great, that I would love now that I wouldn't have loved before, or I wouldn't have even wanted before. And I got him a card. And I wanted to have a candlelight dinner. I wanted him to provide me a candlelight dinner. Did I tell him, I want you to provide me a candlelight dinner? So what did I do? I, in a conversation, said, eventually, at some point, I would really love it if you made me dinner. That would really mean the world to me. Now, it was the day before Thanksgiving, and he got really angry because he thought I wanted him to make it the next day, and he wasn't prepared to do that. This is coming at him out of left field. So I said, no, yes, I would love it if that's what you wanted to do, but I understand that you need to process. This is a change that I haven't asked for before, and I just wanted to make you aware. This isn't a demand or a judgment or anything like that, just to let you know that this is something that I would like. And so if I want a candlelight dinner, I went to the dollar store and I got some candles, and I lit some stinking candles. Right? Does it mean that my husband doesn't love me? Absolutely not. But if I want friggin' candles, I'm going to go get candles. Right? So knowing that you want to support him, you want him to know that you love him. And doing it without expectations and reciprocity. I bought John, you know what I bought him? I bought him a puzzle at the dollar store because we like to do puzzles. It was something small. Did he get me a gift? No, because we don't normally get gifts. And then he was mad because he was like, girl, we don't normally get gifts. This is not fair. But I didn't get him a gift expecting a gift. I got him a gift because I wanted to friggin' get him a gift. Because I saw a $1.25, what they call it, 5-quarter store. I saw a puzzle at the 5-quarter store. So I picked it up. But not taking it personally that he didn't get me a gift is where the work comes in. Right? I can only control me. I can only control me. And my intention was to get him a gift. And I need to make sure that I don't attach a story to his actions or lack of actions that are not true. Like the fact that he didn't get me a gift, or the fact that he didn't do a candlelight dinner, would mean that he doesn't, the story that I used to create in my head would be, he doesn't love me. Is that true? Hell no. Does your son not love you because he's not responding? No, he's going through a hard time learning how to be independent from you and be in a relationship with a girlfriend who's jealous. And giving him the space and the support to do that and not expecting it. And friending the girlfriend, whether you like her or not. Friending the girlfriend is helpful. Not easy. Let me tell you. Not easy, but is helpful. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you. I did that. And then I was thinking maybe I should stop. It doesn't hurt me. Okay. Kimberly, I did like her, treated her like a daughter, but know what she says about me to him. That's crazy. He's 22 and I shouldn't hug my son. Ah. Hey, Ann. Thanks so much for joining. Hey, Sherry. Acknowledge that. I would say acknowledge that. I have a daughter who at a certain age didn't want me to hug her. And it hurts. It hurts. But acknowledging that and say, what can I do instead? I love you. Maybe we come up with a funny handshake, a high five that you like catch it on the downside. And that's your special thing. Because you can't change that. So work with it. Come up with something that's super special, that's like a fist pump, a slap and a slide. Do something that is just special. You don't do it with anybody else. And that's your special thing. And acknowledge that I understand that you're a full-grown man. 22, he's not a full-grown man. His brain hasn't developed until 26. So that's a whole nother story for another day. But giving him the space and the support and the acceptance to do what he thinks he wants. And then sometimes when I can see that my daughter is hurting, I say to her, I see that you're really upset. Would it be okay if I gave you a hug? Or I'm leaving and I'm really sad. Would it be okay if I hugged you goodbye? So asking permission has really been helpful. Hopefully those two things help. And be careful, my friend, because it's so easy. I do it all the time. Attaching a story to this that isn't true. Your son loves you. Your son wants you in his life. He's just in turmoil and chaos and navigating a new transition for him. And so support him as he's navigating his bumpy waters. Yeah, and it is hard. It is hard, Cheryl, you're right. He likes the hug. She didn't like it. She thinks I want to have sex with him. It's great. Is that what she said? Oh, you know what? I would just laugh at that. That's just immaturity. That's just immaturity. I would make light of that. That's it. I am too. This is a conversation that I have for myself. I have a tendency to, my first response is to take it personally. That's not a personal thing. That's not a personal thing. That's an insecurity thing. That's an insecurity thing. And so, let me ask you this. If she were 5 years old and she was saying to you the hug thing, would it be different? Because that's her 5-year-old child speaking. And if you take that perception and that perspective and say, okay, very insecure, very, very insecure. And maybe she's insecure because she was in a relationship with somebody that gave her a story that made her insecure, created a situation that made her insecure. So find a way to make her more secure. How can you do that? You got to know her better. Maybe that's I've got enough love for you too, and pull her in and give her a hug. Maybe she'd be like, ugh. Maybe the first couple times she's like, ugh. Or Maybe I would not do my special handshake with her. Absolutely not. But showing her that without saying your perception is screwed up, or you are obviously insecure, because that's going to make her defensive. Just say, just laugh. Just say, I find that very interesting. Tell me more. Why does that make you feel that way? Or, I've got enough love to go around. Come here and I'll give you a hug too. It doesn't mean I want to have sex with you. Right? I can't believe that she would actually say that to you. She's probably saying that to him. Hugged her too, and my roommates. Yeah, and the roommates. Yeah, I would continue to support and demolish that belief. So I wouldn't single her out, just like you did. I would give hugs to everybody. And eventually she'll get to the point where she's like, your mom hugs everybody. And he's like, yeah, she does. Right? It's not a just him thing or just her thing. It's not what's it called? I couldn't think of the word. An unhealthy thing to do when you're close to your child or close to anybody. You could just say, oh, I'm a hugger. I'm just going to give you a hug goodbye. And totally ignore the fact that you know that thing about her. I would totally ignore it. I would. Or, if she's a personal space, like, I would say, in France, they don't hug. They kind of like air kiss each chick. Would that make you feel better if I didn't hug you and I ask? So often we don't ask. Ask what would make you feel better? What would make you feel more comfortable? Because I want to show my how much I care about you. And how I'm going to be sad that I'm not going to see you. So how can I show that to you in a manner in which it would be good for you? Let me know. Ask. Because she's got some beliefs upstairs. She's got some thoughts and beliefs from childhood, growing up, experiences that she's had, that stories that she's telling herself that you don't know. So ask, what does she need? What will work for her? And then she becomes a little bit softer because she feels a little more accepted, right? Not judged. And that you're truly there just to show that you care about her and not make her feel uncomfortable. Let me know how that works. There's some suggestions. All right, my good golly, Miss Molly, we've been chatting for like an hour. I'm gonna shower so that I can go and look at yet another house. And I hope that you have the most, where are we? Totally terrific Tuesday. And I'll catch you tomorrow. All right. See ya. Sending you a ton of love.